What is up, my crafty friends? My name is Carrie and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited about today's video because not only am I going to give you an awesome idea for a high-end beach decor look, I'm also teaming up with a maker studio for a giveaway. Everything from a maker studio that I use today, I am going to give you the chance to win. So just keep watching this video to find out exactly how to enter. Y'all know that I live at the beach, so this was totally up my alley. Now let me show you what we're going to use today. I'm going to be using these Dollar Tree plates today. The turquoise in these dishes is absolutely beautiful as it is, but wait until you see what I do to totally transform these and make them look incredible and totally high-end. I'm also going to use a couple of pieces from their normal everyday white china. I'm going to take these everyday Dollar Tree dishes along with these Maker Studio products, and I'm going to transform these into gorgeous high-end dishes. Wait until you see the finished product. I'll also put the directions on how to enter the giveaway from a Maker Studio down in the description box as well. Now, if you enjoy this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to turn on all your notifications when you subscribe to my channel. That way, every time I upload a new video, you're not going to miss out. So that's enough talking, y'all. Let's go transform these plates. Let's get started. Okay, so let's take a look at the dishes we're going to transform from the Dollar Tree today. So this is just one of the white mugs that they have as part of their everyday collection, and also a matching white plate. From the turquoise collection, I've got one of the dinner plates, I've got a salad plate, and I've also got one of the bowls, and then I've also got one of the water glasses. Okay, so let's start with the salad plate makeover. Now, the salad plate and the dinner plate are both going to use the same technique, but for time's sake, we're only going to show you the salad plate on camera, but you'll repeat the process for that dinner plate. So for this transformation, I'm going to be using the Maker Studio Gold Leaf. It's beautiful. And I'm also going to use the Maker Studio Gilding size. I'm also using one of the paint brushes from Maker Studio, and I really like this because it's got a very nice point to it. So I know the first time I used Gold Leaf, I'll admit I was a little bit intimidated, but Amy Howard has some great tips, and she's got a couple of videos that show you exactly how to use this gold leaf. So the first thing that we want to do is just dip our brush inside the gilded size. And my goal here is to cover up all of this brown rim. The brown is pretty, but the gold just gives it a super chic and very expensive look. Now, you can do this any way you want. I like the look of sort of a messy kind of look because that is the look that I'm going for with my whole collection. But if you want a really nice, perfect edge, then just take your time when you're going around. This gilding size is white. So you will be able to see where you're painting, which makes it super nice. You don't want your gilding size to get anywhere you don't want your gold leaf to be. Now, if you decide you want to have a super straight edge, a great thing to do is just to hold your brush in the same spot and then just turn your plate. But because I want sort of a messy look, I'm just using almost a sketching motion. Just make sure that every piece of this brown is covered up. I'm also going to make sure that I've got my edge covered because I don't want this to show either. Now, once I go all the way around, I'm just going to lay this to the side. It's going to take about 10 minutes for this to come to tack so that we can put our gold leaf on. And I'm not even kidding. I was so intimidated the first time that I started to use the gold leaf. But after watching Amy's videos, It made it super easy. Now, I'm going to set this to the side and, like I said, let it sit for around 10 minutes. And I'll know that it's time to leaf, because according to Amy, you want to take your ring finger, and when it's time to leaf, then you're going to feel a tack. If you were to feel this right now, there's absolutely no tack. It's just wet. But Amy says to use your ring finger because that's your most sensitive finger. So I'm just gonna set this to the side. So while that is sitting, let's move on to our bowl. Now, this bowl is super pretty the way it is, but I want it to match the rest of my nautical dishes. And to do that, I want to add in a cute little anchor. Now, a Maker Studio has these awesome silk screen stencils, and I love this anchor stencil because you can use it as an all-over repetitive pattern, or you can actually cut it and use it as little single patterns. So that's what I've done here. I've gone ahead and cut some of these out because that's how I'm going to use these on the rest of my dishes. So I've just got one of my little anchors here. I'm just going to plop it down into the center of my bowl. If you are super picky, you can definitely measure this out, but you know me, not very picky. Okay, so you want to make sure that your stencil is all the way down. And now I'm going to take some of this Maker Studio ceramic paint, and this is in the color You Are the Water to My Ocean. And y'all, this is a super pretty navy blue ceramic paint. Now, the awesome thing about the new ceramic paints for Maker Studio is you do not have to bake these. How awesome is that? So once you get this painted, you just need to let it set for 24 hours and it is good to go. Totally food safe and no baking required to set this paint. Watch how easy this is. Just going to take a little bit of my paint. Now you can use one of the little daubers and daub it on, or you can just use one of the little spatulas. Totally up to you. You just want to make sure that the entire stencil is covered. Okay. Now, I don't know why this always makes me nervous, but it does. Look how cute. So easy. Now, as soon as you get through with your paint, you do want to take it and drop it into a bucket of water so that your paint doesn't dry inside the little mesh parts of your stencils. Okay, that was pretty easy, wasn't it? Super stinking cute. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do is flip it over, and I want to add a little bit of this navy paint just onto the bottom of my bowl. I'm just going to apply it right onto my dauber and go all the way around the bowl first. If you want to paint the bottom, you can, like the whole bottom, but I'm not going to waste my paint because that's not going to be seen. I just want this edge to be painted. Okay, so now that I've gone all the way around, I just want to take this same dauber and just sort of fade up into the turquoise, just like that. Isn't that pretty? And if you happen to get something on it where you did not want it, you can just take a rag or your finger and take that off because it's not cured yet. So pretty. I love this. Now I am going to do the same gilding technique that I'm doing on the plates all the way around the rim of my bowl, but I won't be able to do that until the bottom parts of my bowls dry. So if you were going to do a whole set, I would definitely let these dry overnight before going back and doing your rims. So I'm just going to flip this upside down right here and let that dry. And I'll put my dauber in my water. So the stencil that I'm going to use on this plate here actually came from this set of stencils called Animal Kingdom. And these are so super cool and so versatile that you can use this for pretty much any decor you can think of. I think the bees here with those crowns are absolutely amazing. I did go ahead and cut this one apart though, because this is what I want to put in the middle of this little salad plate. And honestly, if you decide you want these salad plates versus this one for the cup, you can totally do that. I just happen to like the way that the contrast looks. So now I'm just gonna eyeball this and make sure it's in the center. Okay, now let's stick this down really well. If you want to take like an old gift card or something and press this down, you can totally do that. If you don't trust yourself with having your edges like this, you can totally mask this off with some painter's tape just so that you're super careful. But I'm not really worried about it, to be honest. I know that I don't want all of these little rope areas to show. I kind of want it to have like that messy look. So I'm going to go super heavy with my gilding size. Now, if you were doing this with a chalk paint, you would definitely get all of those details in. And we're going to use the gilding size just like we did on our plate. We're just going to paint this on. You do want to make sure that everything is covered. Or if you've got a super steady hand, you don't need the stencil. By all means, just brush this on. The stencil is definitely not needed. After I get through painting the stencil, I will remove it and put this in my water so that my little mesh pieces do not get clogged. Having your stencil clean at all times when you're not using it is going to be the key to the life of it. If I'm not mistaken, I think you can reuse one of these stencils over 30 something times, which is super cool. Okay, so now I will just take this off. Let me see if the camera can pick up that sizing. Can you see that? So we're going to set this to the side again and let it wait for 10 minutes for it to come to tack. And my stencil goes directly into my bowl of water. So now I'm going to check my plate here. This is almost ready. Now, Amy does say that you have over an hour window where your sizing is tackable. So you do have plenty of time to play with this. Don't think you've got to do it immediately when it comes to tack, because you don't. But I will let this set for just a few more minutes just to be on the safe side. Okay, this is pretty tacky now. I can feel my fingers sticking to it, and see, you can see it just pulling ever so slightly. That's how you know it's ready. Now, one little friendly word of advice when you're working with gold leaf is, whatever you do, do not ever, under any circumstance, have your ceiling fan on while you're working with gold leaf. Trust me, it is not a pretty sight. Let me just tell you. So if I were going to be doing a whole thing with my gold leaf, I would definitely be a little more cautious. And Amy has a great technique for gold leafing an entire piece, but because I am going to be essentially piecing this together, I'm not being quite as careful. The one thing you want to know is your tissue paper here is your best friend. Wait until you see the magic that happens. So I'm just going to take my gold leaf and I'm going to lay a little bit of that tissue paper back. And then it's going to stick directly on our sizing. Now I've got all of this left over, and it is definitely not going to go to waste. I'm going to very carefully move it on to the next space. When you're doing one whole sheet, it's definitely a lot easier. But there's just something so satisfying about watching this gold leaf come together. So now I'll roll a little bit more of my tissue paper down. And if you happen to miss a spot like I did here, just take a little scrap piece and it will stick to it. I know it looks sort of like a hot mess at the moment, but y'all wait until you see the magic happen. Okay. So now that I've got all of my pieces covered, I'm just going to take my fingers and make sure that I don't feel any more tackiness. If you do feel some tacky, just take a little scrap piece and adhere to it. My edge that I rolled over didn't quite get covered all the way. Just want to make sure that every tacky part is covered. Okay, are y'all ready to watch the magic happen? So now I'm going to tear off a piece of my tissue paper. Definitely save this. And watch what happens. We're going to burnish the edges. So see how it's kind of flaky, not very pretty looking. When you start burnishing, See one spot right here I missed. That's why gold leaf is very forgiving. When you take your tissue paper and you start burnishing, holy moly, it just takes on such a new life. There's just something about this that just is very satisfying. It's like watching magic happen right before your eyes. And this, my friends, is the reason that you do not want your ceiling fans on. But look how stunning. Isn't that amazing? Your gold leaf just totally melts into the sizing. And look how beautiful that is. This does not any longer look like a Dollar Tree plate, does it? Oh, I just love it so much. So this is the same technique that I'm going to use on my dinner plate as well as on the edges of my bowl. So y'all, this plate's done. We will let it set for 24 hours just to make sure that all of our sizing is stuck down. But how easy was that? Totally easy. Now you will get 25 sheets of gold leaf in that one package. And I do save all of my little scrap pieces because I have been known to fill in with my little scraps. So now I'll just take my little bowl and pick up my pieces of leftover gold leaf. Okay, so now let's take our finger and see if this is ready. And this is feeling pretty tacky. I'm feeling pretty good about this. This is the piece that was left over. I'm just going to set it to the side so I can show you the proper way to do this centerpiece. So we want to take our full sheets of our gold leaf and we're going to fold it in our hand just like this. I'm going to lay the full sheet over my design. And that's what I'm going to burnish with. So now I can take these two, the extra tissue paper off. And now we've got a full sheet. These leftover pieces are what I'm going to use when I do the rest of my plates. I told you I don't waste any gold leaf. I salvage every little scrap that I can. And again, these pieces are what I'm going to use to rim probably the bowl. Okay, so now I want to take my tissue paper again and just burnish. The shine that is on this is just amazing. Isn't that gorgeous? So beautiful. Now, one thing I did forget to mention that I did beforehand off camera was to wipe all of my plates down with a rubbing alcohol. You want to make sure that they're totally clean and don't have any oils or anything on it. Okay, so this plate's almost done, but I want it to match our bowl. So I'm going to take one of my anchors. I'm going to place it right in the center. And I'm going to use the water to my ocean. And I'm going to put that right in the middle here. And just remember, there's no need to bake this paint when you're done. This is the new formula from a maker studio. And I just think it's super cool that you don't have to bake it. And the tubes of this are huge. There's so much paint in this one tube. Okay, now let's see the magic. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh, I'm so impressed. Again, this is going to go straight into my water. Okay, so far we've got both of our plates done. Now, I think it would also be really pretty to tie the navy in. If you wanted to paint the bottoms of your plates, you could definitely do that. But I just love the way these look. Okay, that's 2 of our projects done. So now let's move on to the coffee cup. Now, I knew that I wanted my coffee cup to have my pattern all the way around, but one thing that I was not anticipating was that the coffee cup is slightly tapered. And if you've ever tried to do something flat onto a tapered surface, you know that your stencil can kind of get wonky. So I decided to go ahead and just cut one strip out. And then in the strip, I'm just going to go halfway around at one time. I went ahead and cut little slits, and you'll see why in just a moment. So I'm going to line my anchor up so that the first one is right before the handle. And see, if I were not to have my slits in here, my stencil would go kind of wonky. But with the slits in it, I'm able to manipulate that stencil so that it stays straight. If you want to make you a line, you can totally do that, but I admit I just kind of eyeballed it. It does take just a slight bit of patience, but it is totally doable without having to put every single piece on separate. So now that I get it straight, I'll just stick these down super well. And I'm not even worrying about making sure that the edge is down because I'm not touching that with my paint. My paint's only going to go where the anchors are. So I'm going to take that same ceramic paint. A Maker Studio has some beautiful stencils. They've got everyday stencils, they've got seasonal stencils, they've got so many farmhouse stencil. But the one thing that I really love is all of their inspirational stencils. They've got lots of stencils with Bible verses and just super inspirational messages on them. So I think if you're interested, you should totally check that out. Okay. Moment of truth. Now, right here, you can see I did not have my stencil stuck down all the way, and that is no problem at all, because you can just take a tiny little paintbrush, because our paint hasn't dried yet, and just clean up that edge. If I were not doing this on camera, I would totally be taking my time a little bit more. Okay, there we go. So now I'll repeat this and go all the way around before I move on to adding the gilding. Okay. Isn't that cute? Now you can totally leave this just like it is, but I want it to match the rest of the dishes that have the gold gilding. So once this is totally dry, I'll come back and I'll add a stripe of gold gilding to the top and the bottom here. Okay, so the bottom of my paint is pretty dry. It's not totally dry. I admit it has not been 24 hours, but I'm excited to get this finished. So I am going to go ahead and move on to the gold leafing on here. We're going to do this just like we did with our plate. And I'm going to go just around the rim, making sure that I cover all of that brown paint that's on the edge. Okay. Now I'll set this to the side and let it dry to tack, and then I'll apply the rest of my gold leaf that I had left over here. Okay, so while my bowl is drying, getting ready for me to gild it, I'm going to go ahead and move on to this pretty water glass. These came from the Dollar Tree. Now look, I will show you, I've gone ahead and rinsed off my stencils, and the great thing, like I said before, about the Maker Studio stencils are they can be reused over and over and over again. I just washed it off, let it air dry upside down, and now it's totally sticky again. I'm just going to use my finger to sort of measure. We're going to do just like we did the coffee cup. And I'm about in the center of our glass. Okay. So now we've got 9 of our anchors going all the way around. Make sure that everything is pressed down super good. We don't want any of that etching cream going somewhere we don't want it to. And again, if you're super paranoid or you're unsure, go ahead and mask the top and the bottom off just to make sure that you don't get it anywhere. Okay, so now we're ready to etch. So now this is what our etching cream looks like. It comes just in a little bottle, and it's got like a child-proof cap on it. I'm gonna shake it up really good. And it's very thick. So for this one, I'm just gonna use just a paintbrush. This is just an old ratty paintbrush. It kind of has a little point on it, but it's a little bit smaller than the Maker Studio one because my stencil is a little bit smaller. That's why I'm going with this one. And all I'm gonna do is just pat my etching cream on. One thing you want to be super careful about with this etching cream is not to get it on your skin, because it will burn your skin. You also probably is a good idea for you to wear gloves. I guess I just like living on the edge. So we'll go all the way around with our etching cream. Just be careful, because whatever you get this on, it will etch. You don't want it to be etched, then just go ahead and wipe it off before the etching has time to take place. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and take all of my stencils off. You can see the etching cream is still there. Okay. And honestly, I really like this the way that it is, but I kind of wanted to take it a step further and sort of mimic the gold leafing that I had. And you could gold leaf on both sides of this anchor, but I decided I wanted that subtle look. So I'm just going to take my etching cream and I'm just going to freehand over the top and the bottom of my anchors. Okay, so I'm gonna let this set about 10 minutes and then all we've got to do is wash it off and this glass is done. Okay, so while that's sitting, let's check our bowl. You hear that? That's how you know it's ready. And for the bowl, I'm just honestly gonna use some of my leftover pieces. I admit I do sort of feel like it's a challenge to try to use every little drop of my gold leaf. So if you're not really one to challenge yourself, then you can definitely save yourself a lot of time just by using a new sheet of gold leaf. But I just think it's something satisfying about using every little scrap piece that you can. Okay, so now I'm going to take my finger, make sure I don't feel any pieces that still feel sticky. And now I'll take my tissue paper and burnish the whole thing in. Okay, let's just take a look. I see one little spot right here that didn't get covered in gold leaf. There we go. But look how ratty that looks. And the transformation is underway. Watch this. Look at our pretty little bowl. Isn't that beautiful? So as soon as our paint is dry here, we're going to do the gold leaf around the top and the bottom, just like we did on the rest of the pieces. Okay, so now it's time to just go rinse this off, and I'll come back and show you what our little etched glass looks like. Okay, and here is our etched glass. Isn't that gorgeous? So easy. So I'm just going to take my gilding size, and just like we did with our etching cream. I'm going to mark my line first, just so that I know that it's straight. And then I'll go back and spread it out. Okay. We're going to let this set 10 minutes, apply our gold leaf, and our cup is done. Okay. There it is. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh my goodness. I think the coffee cup might be my favorite piece. What do you think? All right, y'all, here's our finished dinner plate and salad plate. And aren't they stunning? I love the contrast of the white and the turquoise. And how about this bowl, y'all? I think the little anchor in the center is so cute, and the gold rim just sets it off. Without a doubt, my most favorite piece of the whole entire set has to be the cute coffee cup and the saucer. I love the contrast of both of these, and they're so, so gorgeous. And I really love the subtleness of the anchors on the water glasses. I think they're so pretty. And y'all, how about the finished set, before and after? Can you believe that? I mean, get a load of how super duper expensive and chic and high end these dishes look now. Your guest would never know that these came from the Dollar Tree. And y'all, this would make a great gift for someone that is totally into beach decor or who has a beach home. I think they're so, so gorgeous. Which piece is your favorite? Let me know down below. I recently did this tea towel as part of a maker-a-thon for Maker Studio, and if you're interested in learning how I made this, I'll put a link to that down below in case you want to check that out. It turned out so beautiful, and yes, this gold leaf can even be used on fabric. Okay, I want to share an experiment that I did with y'all really quick, and I decided to bake my gold leaf plates in the oven just to see what would happen. And y'all, the plate on the right was baked at 325 for around 30 minutes. I absolutely love how it turned out. It kind of has like an aged antique gold look to it. I love the one on the left, the original version that's not baked, but I think the antique gold finish is absolutely stunning. Which one is your favorite? And now for the moment I know y'all been waiting for, how to win this awesome prize package from a Maker Studio. You've got 8 different ways to enter. You're going to visit me on YouTube. You can also enter via YouTube. You can visit my Pinterest page, visit me on Facebook or Instagram. Also invite you to check out a Maker Studio. You've also got a chance for a daily bonus, and if you comment on a blog post, you're going to get 2 extra entries per day. The link to enter the giveaway can be found down in the description box below. That does it for today's video, y'all. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up because that would mean the world to me. And don't forget to enter my giveaway. I've got the link down below. And yeah, I cannot wait to see who wins all of these amazing products from a Maker Studio. I want to give a big shout out to a Maker Studio for sponsoring this giveaway. And yeah, until next time, happy DIYing, y'all.